Most of us are by now convinced of the tremendous potential of artificial intelligence. We've followed the hype, we've read the articles, and we've formed some understanding. Now we want to put it to work. Diversity is one such startup which puts artificial intelligence into a number of applications like video analytics, logistics, warehouse management, cognitive chatbots, and even agriculture. One other use is personalized marketing. So, how is personalized marketing connected with artificial intelligence, and what could be the upcoming chance for it? Ooh, a lot of questions, but well, to answer all those questions, we have a guest today, Mr. Kishore Jethanandani, who has always been a futurist and innovation buff, now living in San Francisco and writes about intersecting emerging technologies like cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, software defined heterogeneous networks. Without further ado, let me welcome our speaker today. Okay. Hello, sir. Thank you so much for coming to our talk show today. I hope you're doing good. How are you?
Thank you, Kangsha. Uh, so I guess without much ado, we can start and answer the first question you have about personalized marketing.
So, yes, sir. My first question is actually, you know, uh, firstly, I just want to give my viewers a quick idea about this artificial intelligence that, or as we know, that it's changing the technological world at a very quick pace, and
Mhm.
no such field is also left behind. So, for my first question to you is that can you tell me a little much more about personalized customer marketing, its connection with artificial intelligence today, and
Mhm.
how it has changed the foreseen future of marketing?
Okay, so um, personalized marketing is so visible. Almost all of us have experienced it. So a typical situation is where you're searching on the internet on some product,
Mm,
and suddenly when you go back to Facebook, you notice that the very same product, uh, there's an advertisement on it, there's some information that you get.
right.
So how does that happen? Facebook is clearly tracking us
Yeah.
wherever we are on the internet,
Mm,
knows what we are interested in, and within a few seconds, you get the
mm,
information that you want.
right.
And that's where I think artificial intelligence comes in. It is using web stream data as opposed to data that used to be uh, leveraged in the past when they used to do research, market research on demographics or socioeconomic
Mm,
data or data about your recent purchases to target
mm,
products and messages and so on. Now it's like instant. It's more interactive.
right.
It's about finding out what is currently of interest to you, what kind
Mm,
of messages resonate with you, and what kind of products you're interested in.
mm,
So right there, you can see the application of artificial intelligence.
right, right. But like as you said, that whatever I am searching over there and it's coming back on my Facebook, isn't there a privacy issue also? I mean, this scares me out at times.
Yeah, right.
Mm,
Well, that's the situation right now, and I mean, there's no such thing as privacy really.
mm,
Um, Although there are regulations around the world for privacy,
mm,
uh, I am not aware that anyone can stop Facebook from targeting us like that.
mm,
Uh, because even if you have privacy laws, you've granted permission when you're allowed the tracking of cookies. With cookies,
mm.
you have really allowed Facebook to track you as well.
Right. Right. Okay. So again, the same thing. How it has actually changed the foreseen future of marketing now? Like any point of view on the same?
Uh, Yeah, so marketing now is, first of all, very, very targeted. Uh,
Mm.
the, in the past, it used to be that it's the difference you can see between Google advertising and Facebook advertising. Facebook advertising is very, very personal.
Mm.
It's very targeted, whereas Google search will have all kinds of advertisements, many of which you never see or bother about. They don't resonate with you. They're like some passing nuisance.
Mm.
Whereas with Facebook, you immediately have something that interests you. So it's avoiding all that clutter of messages and advertisements, which people are getting tired of. So you
Right,
want to have a kind of marketing which appeals to you in the moment.
right, right. Okay. So, about that, now you're saying that immediate targeting is going on. So, if there is immediate targeting of customers with data analysis, so
Mhm.
despite knowing this fact, a salesperson who is there, suppose a marketing person who is there wanting to promote his product over online platform, they still make mistakes and cannot find proper leads for revenue generation. So, could
Mhm.
you tell us those mistakes that we make with behavioral data analysis and how can we avoid these mistakes for a proper personalized marketing?
Right. Um, so sales again, it depends what context you're talking about. This is a different context where you're shopping online.
Hmm.
So it seems like you're talking about salespeople offline. So in any case, with behavioral data, it's contextual,
Hmm.
and contextual data, the outcomes can vary depending on in which situation you have targeted an advertisement.
Hmm.
And then I think there's the other issue that you're tacitly raising. How accurate are these leads? Can we use them to good effect or not?
Hmm.
So there are two aspects to it. One is, have you captured the context right? For example, somebody might be interested in some furniture
Hmm.
and may not actually purchase it because furniture is such a family thing, so you don't want to buy it
Right.
when your wife is not around. So
Right.
that's like
Hmm.
a straightforward situation where
Hmm.
somebody may be interested in the product, but
Hmm.
may not be the right time to target the advertisement because that person is not going to buy without his or her spouse.
Right.
Uh, so the other thing is, about the interpretation of the analytics.
Hmm.
Uh, right now, AI is more or less at an early stage, so it's not thought about the usability aspect of it. Uh, so they run these algorithms. They do the mining of the data with tools that no one has any clue what they are about. For most people, AI is a black box.
Hmm.
Somehow somebody is taking in garbage and spitting out garbage, or so they have a great deal of skepticism about it.
Right.
But increasingly, AI is going the next step, which is to make it easy to interpret data. It's not a black box anymore. And in any case, when you are mining data, uh, you're getting an initial impression
Hmm.
about conversion efficiency and so on, but you still have to tell a narrative around it to make it compelling uh, argument for targeting in a particular way. So the AI company is now starting to make those models interpretable.
Right.
So far, from being a black box, they want to make it. And there's a whole new class of companies who are coming up now
Hmm.
who so an example is narrative science, which uses knowledge graphs to show the relationship between data and to convert raw data into a story. So then it's like you
Right.
can easily communicate to decision makers what are the pros and cons of taking any step.
Right. All right. So this is actually a good insight. Thank you so much for this insight that people actually make mistakes under these segments. But yes, I mean, this is
Yeah.
why we have an expert over here. All right. So, other question again comes to the same thing, that what are some of the customer segments that we need to keep in mind before actually making data analysis and customer acquisition as well? Any particular
Okay,
customer segment?
that's a really good question.
Mm,
Well, typically, obviously, the younger people are more adept at using technology. They embrace it faster,
mm,
and all that. But the bottom line with personalized marketing as opposed to mass marketing uh, is that it targets very specific pain points. So if you I don't know how they advertise in India, but like I take example of Harry's.
mhm,
Uh, it, it's a simple shaving kit, no big deal, it would seem. But I remember when I used to use the traditional blades,
mm.
uh, I used to always have a cut.
Okay,
Or not always, but very frequently, there would be a cut, which was a big nuisance. But
okay,
Harry's, they've crafted this blade, which for some reason I don't get cuts anymore, and it's much smoother
okay,
shave
okay,
in the morning. So similarly, there are all kinds of these very customized products that are coming,
right.
which solve a problem which could be solved in the past because you were always looking at these broader segments. But now
Right.
it seems because it's targeted,
Mm.
you are able to also address a very specific pain point. So anyone is going to be responsive to that, I think.
Okay, okay. I hope you don't get cuts anymore because of the personalized marketing and how I get it about the shaving example is pretty nice, honestly. Okay. So now that you're coming from the same backdrop, what does your research say about the future of cognitive artificial intelligence?
Well, cognitive artificial intelligence is obviously, much, much harder than using quantitative data because you're taking into consideration natural language, and these days is going even further, and they're doing also human reasoning, human emotions.
Mm,
So all in any aspect of cognitive AI, there's context involved. So for example, in natural language, it started off with looking at patterns in the language
mm,
to try to tie up what people are trying to say, but people say things in with different connotations, different meanings. When they're communicating, they use different turn of phrases.
mm,
Um, so which the machine can't easily understand, right?
right,
By simply looking at language. So now these days, they're doing what is called knowledge representation,
right.
which is that besides parsing textual data or language data, you also parse the you have a whole knowledge base uh, of how language is used in different contexts, right? So, so for example, there's been a breakthrough, this GP3.
Mm-hmm.
GP3, natural language processing, uh, takes context. They're using what are called transformers,
Mm,
uh, and transformers essentially factor in the context to get a better representation of language. In the past, for example, voice assistants, for example, were
mm,
pretty annoying because they would make mistakes frequently, and they would ask so many questions that instead of becoming a convenience, it becomes a
mm,
huge inconvenience
right,
because you have to get past the assistant before you get a human to support you.
right.
Uh, so that nuisance is there. So similarly, there is emotion detection, for example, uh, which uses psychological uh, research
Mm,
to understand what a person is feeling. I mean, sentiment analysis started with simply whether the emotion is positive or negative,
mm,
which is really a starting point, doesn't tell you much. Now they're trying to do whether the person is in a good mood in terms of like humorous,
mhm,
feeling joyful or sad, or whatever that sentiment is, specific sentiment is, or specific emotion is. So that becomes, and so some of the first projects coming out where they use digital signage to see how a person is responding to a message or an advertisement, uh, whether the person is delighted or whether does the person find the advertisement annoying. And based on that, you then deliver messages which you try to see whether they resonate with them or not. So yeah, definitely to answer your question very shortly, very briefly, um, it's advancing in that direction of more cognitive analysis, but we don't know yet how successful they'll be to be useful in a commercial environment.
All right, all right. So now I can see so much good things are going to happen, most probably. But again, a question that actually stirs a human mind is that, do you think that AI will replace people who work in marketing, or it will make them more productive, efficient, and able to focus on more
Yeah.
important tasks?
No, I think uh, I've spoken to quite a few experts,
Mm,
and it's clear to me that complete replacement of humans is not going to happen.
hmm.
Uh,
Thank God.
because if you try to reproduce some uniquely human aspects, the algorithms become so complex,
Right.
uh, and engineering wise, uh, very unreliable, very difficult to maintain. Um, so it's very unlikely that will happen. I mean, so to take a simple example,
Hmm.
not from marketing, but robotics. In the past, for example, uh, robots used to be kept in a cage because you didn't want them to go out of control.
Hmm.
But now they are more like assistants. They are companions to human beings,
Right.
and they do what the humans. So they make the humans far more productive.
Right. That is true. Okay.
Similarly, in marketing, when you have to analyze so much data, there's like, data coming from the web, the historical data, and sentiment data. It's very difficult for humans to digest all that quickly enough.
Right.
So a machine helps, but you still have to interpret. The humans still have to interpret the conflicting information they get.
Okay, all right. So humans, this is a good news for humans probably that yes, you are not gonna get replaced with the incoming of machines, of course. But yes, things will be becoming a little, I don't know, should I say it's complicated, but easier as well at the both ends.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. It gets easier. I mean, so for example, if you're doing natural language processing,
mm,
you need a whole bunch of linguists
right,
to create the database, and then once the results come out, it makes sense of the information you're getting from the machine. So you definitely need humans to complement and bring their skills of judgment and intuition and so on, which the machines can't really have. I mean, they're trying even intuition. They're trying with robots,
mm,
um, but it will have its own limitations even when it works.
all right, all right. So my next question to you is that because AI is coming as a new tool in the marketing industry, so definitely we are aware that best practices have not been established to guide the marketing team's initial deployments. So, how do you think that we can address this challenge? Should we just go hit and trial run, or should we actually try to keep a good set of rules for everybody? How it has to be done?
Right. So the best practice is the use of knowledge graphs.
Mm,
Uh, so knowledge graphs, they first have been utilized by Google. So if you're looking for information about a person, let's say Donald Trump,
mm,
uh, when you search for you on the right side of the screen, you'll get a biography of the person, right?
right.
That is happening because of knowledge graphs, and it's a rudimentary kind of knowledge graph which collates information about a person's birth, their spouses, and their children, and what they've been doing in the past, brief biography. So, similarly, you can extend that when you're mining data on marketing. You can start to show relationships in the not in the unstructured data, uh, and tell a story out of the
Right,
data. So it's easy to comprehend.
right,
Decision makers can then evaluate their options, the trade-offs involved, and make better decisions.
right. Okay, okay. Um, all right. So after all this, why do you think AI is the future of personalized marketing? I mean, will it be a game changer according to you? This is the like final thing according to you, your opinion. Is it a game changer or not?
Yeah, I do think it's a game changer
Mm-hmm.
uh, because of the of the nature of the marketplace itself. So the channels are diversifying. So from uh, on-premise purchases in retail stores, we have gone to e-commerce, we buy online, and
Mm-hmm.
now it's the third stage where we're doing direct-to-customer marketing. So you cut out the retail store, you cut out even the online store. Uh, you purchase the product on the site, on the website of the vendor, and it's delivered to you directly.
Right.
Uh, what it's doing is mass customization. Uh, so you need to know even more about the customer, what their specific needs are, what is their daily routine, so you know uh, what their needs are, as compared to even simply interaction on the website. So I think that's one aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
The other aspect is that AI itself is evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and what that means is from these deep learning algorithms, we are going to reinforcement learning. And the difference between deep learning and reinforcement learning is that reinforcement learning is more dynamic. It sets a goal. So, for
Right.
example, goal is to get, say, conversion rate of 2%. Uh, and so you may not get to 2% to start with.
Mm-hmm.
You may get, for example, 0.1%.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll, try to learn more to close the gap between 0.1% and 2%,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and do experiments.
Right.
So it's not just one way that it tries to market. It looks at a broad range of options, and then it zero downs on the ones that are going to achieve its final goal. So so what reinforcement learning does is they start off by looking at the context, and from context, they will try learning will try to see
Mm-hmm.
what kind of message will work for that person, uh, and depending on the outcomes, it will then iterate. Whereas deep learning just does pattern seeks for patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, doesn't evolve really. Might get more accurate about getting the patterns, but reinforcement learning is getting a deeper understanding and what the outcomes are in what context.
Right. Okay, definitely. Now we are diving into this game-changing situation.
Hmm.
Uh, so yes, all right, sir. This was actually a good. I had these questions for you, and thank you so much for answering them and sharing your exclusive knowledge with our viewers today.
Sure.
Uh, all right, sir. I'll see you soon again. Then. To all our viewers, you can connect with us by following our pages on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, or directly send us a message at contact@diversity.fr. You can find this email ID in the description below, and best AI services in the industry is here for you. Thank you.